go to Tim Kalinowski, betting analyst at Snapback Sports. And Tim, maybe just a little quick rundown. What exactly is Snapback Sports for us old guys?
Well, it was started a few years back, and one of the big parts of our operation is we have a YouTube vlog where we've been trying to find the greatest sports experience in the world. So we do a lot of traveling and basically give a guide on where the best place is to watch a game, from the food, the atmosphere, the bars. We've been to over probably 200 stadiums, 200 events, and we just kind of, I guess, not quite wrapped up a college football tour, but I was basically in a different college campus every weekend this Saturday. So that's a big part of our operation. We do betting as well, just the old sports content media stuff.
What was the best place for a game?
Tennessee, Knoxville, Neyland Stadium. That was a big bucket list item for me. We saw them play Florida at night, win in overtime, and totally lived up to everything you hear about. So yeah, I think Tennessee for me would be number one.
I just attended a basketball game there the other day for the first time. It is the production and the way they do basketball was top notch. Also, it was like going to the Garden to watch a college basketball game. It was great.
They're outstanding, and they were. Sometimes we make a deal with the school or something. It depends on how game the school is in inviting us. And Tennessee, you got to give them credit. They gave us sideline passes, locker room tour, the whole 9 yards. So that was, you get extra points for that. But even just the atmosphere itself, we tailgated on the river there with the Vol Navy as well. It was, it's just, the SEC is different.
All right. How about since you went around all these football places and others, give me the best food that you had along the way.
Ooh, so again, Tennessee, a little bit of a disclaimer because they were expecting us. They gave us basically what they were eating in the big suites there to the boosters. We got lobster rolls, we got a stuffed mac and cheese, all that. But I will say, if we're going more just concession area, Colorado, went there and saw them play Baylor, that crazy overtime Hail Mary game, and certain substances are legal in Colorado that the kids like to indulge in, and the food did match the hunger that can sometimes happen after those substances. So I'd say Colorado is pretty good as well.
Fair enough. Let's get into the college football playoff rankings a little bit, if we wouldn't mind. What do you make of the second to last ranking, so to say, before we find out on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so infuriating, the whole SEC thing. Like, and before you talk about college football, you have to basically bow to the altar of the SEC. I don't know if you guys know this. You have to first say, I do believe the SEC is the best conference. I do believe it's the most competitive. I do believe it has the hardest places to play.
Very similar to saying Hail Marys.
Right, yeah. Exactly. And I do believe all those things. With that said, it's just ridiculous. They have a different set of rules, and I shouldn't be this worked up about it because this 12-team playoff was invented by the commissioner of the Big Ten, the commissioner of the SEC, and the AD at Notre Dame. So we shouldn't be shocked, but I still can't help myself. It's like having like a rock in your shoe. It irritates me to no end. The whole Lane Kiffin crying about it, then you got Nick Saban crying about it. It's just like, look, I don't think Miami's that great of a football team, but the rules are just so different for SEC teams, and it just pisses me off to no end.
Tim, do you see any way the ACC gets more than one team in the college football playoff?
I think if Clemson beats SMU close, SMU could still get in. But anything you think, you have to weight it on a scale of what they're going to do about the SEC. I think that's their best chance. Like this SMU team, I think is really, really good. So Clemson's kind of the bid stealer. And, if they do want to still keep SMU, and I think that'd be great. I think SMU is a really good team, and I would want to see them in the playoff after all that, happened many years ago to this SMU team.
But didn't the SEC commissioner say you should not be hurt if you lose your championship game also?
Again, different rules for different conferences. The coach at Texas Tech had a great press conference a couple days ago, and he was just like, the patch of the jersey. Should we just take this patch off that says Big 12? Should we just, like, what are we doing here? It's beyond frustrating. And you look at a team like, for instance, Ole Miss, right? Lane Kiffin's made a lot about this. You just don't lose to Florida as 3 touchdown favorites. I mean, Syracuse, want to relate it to that. Don't lose at home to Stanford on a Friday night, a great Syracuse spot. The West Coast team coming in, your 10-point home favorites. Like, I just, and the SEC people will be the first people to say too, hey, what would they be on a neutral field, the projected point spread? See, Ole Miss will be favored over all of them. Well, how'd that go against Florida, right? So they make up rules as they go, and it sucks, but there realistically aren't good 12 good teams. That's kind of really the issue.
Yeah, and realistically, there is not, that team that stands out for you. Even Oregon, like, they're the best team in the country right now, but that dominant team, when you look at college football, do you see this model, first year, the 12-team playoff, do you see it sticking, or do you see them tweaking it and changing when the rights deal is up here next year?
If there are any changes, and I could say that I would bet on there will be changes. If there are changes, there are going to be changes we don't like, and it's going to be that the SEC automatically gets 4 qualifiers, and that the Big Ten automatically gets 4 qualifiers. And that's not a joke. That's a meeting that they have had regarding the playoff. They want their teams in. Again, they invented it, and I was telling you guys when we talked over the summer that the best spot to be in is the 5 seed, because you're going to get that weaker matchup of essentially possibly playing the weakest, the weak. It's the best place to be, and no shock that it could potentially be Notre Dame, the third kind of, like I said, power at B that invented this thing.
I mean, you could have Texas and Georgia playing for the third time.
It's
in one of these things. Let's go into conference championship games a little bit. Any upsets that you see happening? If you were a betting man in these conference championship games?
I think we could see potentially UNLV upset Boise State. I mean, look, UNLV was one of the few teams to, I guess you could call it, that they held Genty to 128 yards in that game. He still had like 33 carries and whatnot. But and I also think Penn State has a chance too. Look, I know Franklin's record against good teams, and look, I'm telling you, I get it. I'm not in a rush to bet Penn State. I like
Paulie has a better chance of getting a date than James Franklin beating a top 5 team.
I know, but let's just say potentially cover. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. Look, this is an Oregon team that was really, really tested by Boise State. If you can run the ball on Oregon, that's how you beat them. Penn State's running game is decent, and so I think that could be a chance there. And then who the hell knows in like the Big 12? I would call either of those teams winning an upset.
I'll end with, you've seen Syracuse football play this season, and Fran Brown in his last press conference said, yeah, it's a step in the right direction, but I'm not satisfied. I want to be a national contender. Do you see on the national stage, like looking at Syracuse, like, is this team, relevant with what they were able to do this year? How are they perceived?
They are still perceived. So they went from, I always joke at this, like, I go down to the South and the Clemson and Syracuse had a, kind of a rivalry, I guess. Like, remember that span where they played close games about 5 years in a row. And I used to say, people in Clemson don't even know where Syracuse is. So they've gone from kind of that to, I think this year they were a plucky out. And, that's a fine kind of continuum to be on. But, I think Fran Brown, it's a home run, grand slam hire. You got to hope that you can keep this guy. McCord was a big hit in the portal. If you're going to kind of play the portal game, which I think Syracuse, did a good job utilizing, it can be boom or bust though, right? You could be Florida State landing DJ Uyunglele and you think, you grab the veteran out of the portal and it blows up in your face. So I would just that would be my trepidation. Is like, look, when you play this game, it really is a boom or bust. But Syracuse, tip your cap. I think a lot of people, they're on notice from what Fran Brown has done. So you got a lot to be excited about next season.
All right, Tim, thanks a lot. We were just discussing that the boom or bust thing with basketball, and hopefully we Syracuse hasn't hit the bus in the basketball.
Paulie already wants to jump off the nearest bridge talking SU hoops.
Oh, just wait, guys. Just wait. In February, they're gonna get hot, and you're gonna convince yourself they have a chance again. Like, is this your first
on the
time?
bubble for the 87th season?
No,
yes.
I'm not. I'm jumping off the bridge for a different reason, because of the callers, not because of the actual team. So,
Tim, thanks for your time today, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. I'm not gonna go find a bridge. Thank you, guys.
all right. Yeah. Meatball joins us next, Mario. Did you know?
Some people used to call me that.
Did they? You look like a meatball. Little Mania is coming.